What is up? It is your allies behind enemy lines. You know who it is. Joey and Ryan coming at you thoroughly behind enemy lines in Cowboys territory, holding it down for all our Washington football fans out there, holding it down for all those ones that are just like us and barely holding on. It's been a tough week so far, or excuse me, tough season so far. But it's Cowboy week. It's Dallas week, so we got to get up and get ready for this. Joey, how's your week been since we last saw each other on Monday?
Oh, it's been good. Like you said, we're hanging in there as fans, hoping for the best, and as you said again, it's Cowboy week, so we got to get up and get ready for that game no matter what the records are. That's always been the thing. Records out the window when we go against this team. Different faces, different players, but the rivalry stays the same. So all things aside, it's Cowboy week. Let's focus on getting this win and see what happens.
Absolutely, yeah. It's gonna be an ugly game. Terrible defense versus a worn-torn, beat-up offense, and we are just a team at a crossroads. We're not really beat up. We're just not very good right now, and our defense is a little lackluster as well. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. I think jumping right into it, we're gonna need need to be our defensive line. They've got to get after it. This offensive line for the Cowboys is nowhere near what it used to be. Zach Martin, their best guy that they had, still sticking around at the offensive line. He's out with a concussion. Tyron Smith is out. Lyle Collins' backup is out. Brandon Knight. Like it's just not great for the Cowboys right now. So we got to get after Andy Dalton, make sure we're pressuring him. Make sure we're stopping Zeke, maybe forcing that ball out. As we've seen, he's had some trouble holding on to that ball. I think this is for sure a game where Montez, Kerrigan, the whole crew, Jonathan Allen, Tim Settle, Chase Young is dealing with another little growing injury or growing issue. They haven't said one way or the other if he's going to play just yet. But if he's in there, absolutely, he's got to get after it. So I think if this is the game for us to show out, we've got to do it. We've got to do it after that offensive line, because our offense, I think our offense has a little bit more to it than what their defense can hold, because their defense couldn't hold a cup of water right now, so that's kind of good. But just get we've said it time and time again, week after week. We know what the game plan is, what we got to do offensively. Now we just got to execute and make sure we're holding on to the ball. And I think we are right in the thick of yet another least dumbest game of the week right here. Whoever's the least dumbest, they're gonna win.
They're gonna win. And as I read earlier today, it did say this is the battle of the movable object meeting the stoppable force here. We got the 32nd ranked defense versus, I think ours is a 31 ranked rushing offense. I'm not sure if it's the offense overall. I think it's the rushing offense. So
okay, yeah.
It's the perfect time. I look at it, you said the defensive line. I look at it the other way. It's the perfect time to get this offense into rhythm, into some kind of rhythm. You're playing the worst defense in Cowboys history that I've seen. I cannot remember a defense. Maybe the 1-15 team was this bad. I don't know. Maybe it was Rob. I don't remember it that much. But this defense is bad. And so if Kyle Allen's going to get out there and get some chemistry going with Terry, some Antonio Gibson, some Logan Thomas, as we saw today, I think you mentioned it. Logan Thomas and I keep wanting to say Montez, but Chase Young were full participants in practice today, so that's reassuring.
That's good, yeah.
That's good. So we should see them in the lineup, and so it's a great time to really get. We say it over and over again, but. It's a really good time to change this team around. It really changed the direction. I'm not going to say change it around and become a Super Bowl contender, but it really changed the thought process and the culture within the team. Because right now they got to feel beat up and confused. This quarterback carousel, and then losing that game last week. In the fashion they did with the decision making. Who knows how they're feeling about their coach's decision making right now. So it's the Cowboys are in turmoil. We're in turmoil, but. We were expected to be in turmoil, I think. We didn't have a very high expectation this year. They had very high expectations for their team, and they are falling way short. Obviously, they had the injury to Dak Prescott, but before that, it wasn't like they were 3-0. So I think they're let down. They're that heavyweight fighter right now that's on the ropes, that's got a bloodied eye and everything. I think we need to deliver that knockout punch to their season here on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think if whether there's reports this week of players coming out from Dallas Cowboys camp, pretty much saying they don't trust the coaches. They don't trust the coaching. That they're not coaching. They are not making any in-game adjustments. They're not doing anything to really help or coach. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone thought it was real funny when Mike McCarthy came into this press conference and was like, "Yeah, I told Jerry I watched every play of the Cowboys, but I kind of lied about that. Haha, it's funny, but you just submitted a line on your resume. You know what I mean? Which we all do it. We all do it, but
Fluff. It's called fluff.
yeah, true. Yeah, fluff. We fluff our resume, but then we don't walk into our boss's office right after they hire us and be like, "Hey, remember what I said on my resume? Yeah, that was bullshit." We don't do that. But Mike McCarthy did, and I think the fact that he did that is kind of coming back to bite him in the butt, especially with this terrible start. So yeah, I mean, I think if there's a game that our offense can get rolling a little bit, it's this one. If Terry can get loose a little bit, behind that secondary, this is the game to do it. If we can see what we got with some of these other guys. I know Gandy Golden's been banged up a little bit. I've been waiting to see, and we've seen nothing from him so far. But obviously, some of the guys you mentioned in Dontrell Inman, in Logan Thomas, and a lot of the other offensive weapons that we thought were going to be weapons instead of more like water pistols. But nonetheless. If Kyle Allen, he needs to have a good game. I think if he doesn't have a good game, then yeah, we got to throw Peg Leg Smith out there and see if he's got it.
Peg leg. Now it seems like you don't like him, other than you just don't trust his leg.
No. Yeah, that's wrong. I love Alex Smith and I like him. I have a ton of respect. I tip my hat to him for battling back. I do not trust him back there with his leg. But no. I don't want to get that misconstrued. I do like Alex Smith and hope the best for him. But yeah, I mean, I think if we're not getting it done against this defense with Kyle Allen, what defense are we going to get it done against? We're not. That's a simple answer to a simple question. We're not. So if he doesn't get it done here, we gotta move on to Alex Smith and go from there. And I think if Kyle Allen, in his case, if we can't get it done with him and we make the move to Alex Smith, then we need to move on from Kyle Allen completely and release him and cut it and find somebody else.
No, we have somebody. We have somebody there. We forget about our El Paso native, who's a giant. Who's our giant beast on our practice squad right now? Who, if like you said, if Kyle Allen isn't the guy, we know Alex Smith is not the guy. I mean, he might be the guy for a little while, but he's not the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. What would it hurt to dress someone like Montez back there and see what he can do and bring? I mean, our season's gonna be we lose this game, we can't move the ball against this Cowboys defense, and our season is shot. We can't beat anybody. We don't play the Jets, so we're not gonna beat them either. And so our season is shot. It's time to bring in who knows? Again, I always say. You gotta, if not to see what you have for yourself, see what you have as a trading piece for him, down the line, something like that. You gotta examine everyone on your team past that point. But let's hope that Kyle Allen can get some sparks here in this offense, even though I do think that he's still not our guy. But he could be our guy here for a little while. And what you said about their defensive line stopping Ezekiel Elliott, which I did address a little earlier. I think I want them to keep feeding Zeke. I mean, every time they feed him, he's throwing up. He's like an anorexic woman right now they keep feeding him, and then he goes behind the building and sticks his finger down his throat. Shout out anyone that suffers from that. I'm not trying to make fun of.
I was gonna say, let's walk that back a little bit, and maybe he's like the little kid who you feed the vegetables, and he passes off to like the dog or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's a little more the speed that we're allowed to go nowadays, because.
Exactly. So, but all jokes aside, all illnesses aside, he is not the Ezekiel Elliott that I don't know what is. He's in his head, or if that tattoo on his stomach messed up his balance. I don't know what it is, but he is not the same Ezekiel Elliott. Mind you, they don't have the line, yeah. So I think they can keep feeding him, and it's, again, continue to get in his head, and we can stop him, and it's going to be an easy thing to do. So I hope that that's their game plan, but this defensive line, like you said, it has to reestablish itself as being dominant. I think that they haven't played bad over these last couple of weeks, but they haven't been dominant. And I think that they can be dominant against this very weak offense. And if we do that, I think it's going to give, short fields, cause turnovers, is going to give our offense a little bit boost of confidence where they can maybe get over that hurdle and finally find some chemistry.
Yeah, I think we need to have a repeat performance of week one as far as this defensive line goes. I think anything under 4 or 5 sacks, I don't think it'll be a good game, but I don't think it's a success. Mm-mm. Because We know our deficiencies in our secondary. So if Andy Dalton's getting too much time, I mean, we know that Amari, CD, Michael Gallup, like they're going to be open. It's just a matter of time. Dalton Schultz, he's going to be open. He's a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't covered a tight end in years. So it's 100%. And I hate to say that it all lies on the defensive line. It does, but it's not like if we don't get it done there, then it's on them, because it is a whole defensive unit. But I think this is going to be a game where they have to feast. It's got to be a repeat performance of week 1, where we're just constantly getting after Andy Dalton and beating him up, and at least making him think about it for a little bit. You know what I mean? If even we're not getting to him, maybe we're getting some quarterback rushes, or at least some quarterback hits. Right there where he's got to think about the rush. Maybe turn him into a one read quarterback, and something to where we kind of keep him off balance. I mean, who did they play last week?
Arizona Monday night.
Arizona, yeah. See, because I mean, even Arizona, they played they didn't even have
without
their best
Chandler
prospect.
Jones. Yeah, without Chandler Jones.
And Kyler Murray did not have a good game. I think he was like 9 of 27. And 2 of his passes, one was a little shovel pass to Christian Kirk that counted for a touchdown. Another one, he threw it up and hit Christian Kirk for like an 80-yard bomb.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful pass, by the way. That was one of the. I love it when it's so like just outstretched. He did not have to slow down a lick to catch that.
Yeah.
Actually had to speed up. That was beautiful.
So so you can have a very subpar performance from your quarterback and still play well against this team, against the Cowboys. And so I hope Kyle Allen plays well. I don't hope he has a subpar game and we still win. But that was the other thing too. They gave up, the big run. I think they gave 169 yards to Kenyon Drake. One of them being a 70-yard run for a touchdown or something of sorts like that. This would be a great game for not only our offense to get in rhythm, but maybe Antonio Gibson kind of finally finds his footing, in the running game. Maybe we've realized that maybe it isn't him and JD McKissick is the guy, something like that. But I think there's a big time, not even a get right game, because I don't know that there's a whole lot getting right for this team and for this franchise right now. But like you said, kind of see what you got. Let's see what we got. And I think the Cowboys are kind of in the same spot because they aren't exactly sure either. Both, at the quarterback position and definitely not defensively. I mean, I think they know what they have defensively, and it's nothing. I don't think Randy Gregory's playing this week. I think he's playing next week. But Alden Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence, they haven't been great. But this is also another opportunity for them against a not great offensive line. Kind of, not even beat up. We're just not very good on the offensive line. Sadiq Charles he's doubtful to play. So we're gonna have Wes Martin in there again, or excuse me, I always get the Wes's screwed up. We're gonna get Wes Schweitzer in there, with Brandon Scherf. So at least I feel like our inside should be good with Scherf, Roulier, and Schweitzer. Obviously, the tackles are still big question.
Well, Morgan Moses played good last week. I think Morgan Moses had a really good game.
Yeah, he's not bad. It is definitely like as far as question mark goes, it's just like you can't count on him every single play. I would say, there's going to be some plays where he's going to get beat, and so it is what it is. But Jerron Christian just hasn't played well yet. So that's what worries me is those those ends.
Mm-hmm.
Antoine Woods, he's not bad on the defensive line for the Cowboys. He's a nice little role player. Definitely nothing like we have on our interior, but. It's going to be, I think that the game, once again, it's going to be won and lost in the trenches. It's going to be won and lost right there at the at the line of scrimmage with both defensive lines and offensive lines kind of being not great. I keep going back and forth. Either this is going to be like a 6-3 game or it's going to be like a Big 12 shootout. I'm not sure which one. And I don't think either offenses are – I definitely don't think Washington's offense is prepared for a shootout. And if the defense is doing their job for us, then the Cowboys sure as hell aren't going to be in a shootout, just like we saw what they did against or what they didn't do against Arizona last week.
I see. So you know what? I see it either way. I don't see it a close game at all. I see us stomping the Cowboys. I see it's going to be a statement game, and it's not me just hoping. This is not wishful thinking. If you watched that game on Monday night, which I'm sure you did, I didn't see any bright spots on that Dallas Cowboy team whatsoever. They got lucky a couple times on some plays, but there was no game plan. I mean, I don't even know if that's the same Andy Dalton we saw in Cincinnati. They were talking all last week, trying to pump him up a little bit, on the morning show about, don't forget, he used to be in the playoffs. He's a blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he didn't look like himself even back then. He looked like a shell of his former self. Mentioned he is behind a patchwork line. So we don't have to worry about, Andy Dalton doing some hero performance this week. I think we're going to pound him in the mouth early, and we're going to shrink that field, and I think we're just going to pound the ball down their throat and break their spirit early and do exactly what Arizona did to them. And I think that the turmoil they have within there, it's got to be finger pointing as well. They're pointing fingers at coaches. They're probably pointing fingers at each other. So that culture has got to be divided right now. And like I said, this Dallas Cowboy team had so much expectations right now that their players are just going to quit on the field.
Yeah, and that was my first thought too when all this stuff came out about them. I think it was Jane Slater reporting how there was so much distension between the players and the coaches. My first thought was, well, I mean, the coaches have lost the locker room already. Then, if that's the case, like these guys there's absolutely no reason. And I hate to be that guy of
and who's the leader? Who's the player leader now? Who's
right.
without Dak?
Because Dak's gone. Exactly, 100%. Is Zach Martin's not going to be in there? Travis Frederick retired. Any of those offensive
Jason Witten's gone.
1,000%. No, I totally agree. That's something I hadn't thought of just yet. But you're right. I mean, the leader as far as the players, I don't know if I could point one out and say, oh, it's got to be this guy, or it should be a guy like Zeke who's been around the league for a while, been around the team for a while, but it's not going to be him. I don't think Amari Cooper is quite that type. At least I haven't seen anything, and when I say that, I mean like any demonstrative emotions or anything like that, like a guy that can really rally the troops. So that's another great point. But like I was beginning to say was I hate to be this is going to be the second time saying it where I said if Kyle Allen's not the guy, we need to release them because they're still human beings. Like you want to make sure that they're all right. But
he'll be all right. He'll be all right. I promise.
Yeah, probably. He's not going to be filing for EBT or anything like that. But Mike McCarthy too. I mean, if he's lost this locker room, are you going to be able to bring these guys back in? And they're going to be able to trust you. You're going to be able to trust them that they follow your orders, your calls, whatever it may be. Like at that point, when it's week 7, and they're already talking about how they don't trust the coaches. I mean, it's almost like you got to move on from a coach. And I hate that. I would hate for that to happen after 7 weeks for any coach. But it's like it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes things don't work out, and I think you can probably see 7 weeks in it's not working out. And again, and I know this is you got to give usually coaches at least 2 to 3 years so they can get their guys in there. But part of coaching is coaching with what you got and rallying the troops and getting them to follow suit and getting them to buy in. And it seems like a lot of guys are not buying in and have actually sold their position out and said, hey, I'm good here. So I agree with you. I mean, there's a huge possibility that they, pull the plug and say, you know what, I'm gonna maybe collect my check. I'll go through the motions, but that's about as far as I'm going.
Yeah, and it's really been talked about a lot this week. When the news broke about all the internal dissension with the players and the coaches and the distrust there. And I did see a press conference with Mike McCarthy after that. And he didn't and when he says, I don't put a lot of energy towards that. I'm like, well, you better. I mean, it's like an owner of a company saying all your employees hate you. Well, I don't put a lot of energy to that. Well, you better, because you don't own that team. You are privileged to coach them right now. And I know talk has already started ramping up too. Like that was the only person they interviewed. And when the Cowboys did make that hire, it wasn't like I was like, oh great, they got Mike McCarthy. I've always been under the assumption, and maybe you thought the same thing, that Mike McCarthy rode along with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like you were lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. I don't think that was you at all. I think that that. Aaron Rodgers ran that team, not you. And then when Matt LaFleur came in there and they had that little, head bashing thing, like, well, I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers, you ain't running this show. This is, I'm the coach. You're going to listen to me. And then Aaron Rodgers, pouted for a while and just kind of bought in. Now we're seeing an even better version of him, I believe. I think that's what coaches do. That's what good coaches do, is they take your talented players and they make them better. I think that Mike McCarthy thought he was walking into a talented roster with Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, Leighton Vander Esch, all these DeMarcus Lawrence, all these players on this team, and thought, I'm right back to another spot like that where I can just kind of cruise and just let these players do what they do. And unfortunately, he is not. And I think that, Jerry Jones is probably questioning whether Jason Garrett might have been a better choice this year for this team. And but it's all, so that you add all that up together, and then you got players on the field that are going to be questioning those calls coming in from coaches. And then when that starts happening, the dominoes start falling. So I just think it's prime time for the Cowboys. if they're not, it's as like they say, nut up time for both of these teams, and I think we're going to be the ones that nut up and kind of stomp on them. So let's just see what happens.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think a lot of people watching and listening to this can relate to that manager that just kind of sits back in their offense and twiddles their thumbs while the store, the restaurant, wherever you're working, kind of runs itself. And I think that's what Mike McCarthy was looking for. And that's not the case, because you lose your starting quarterback, because this defense is an absolute shambles. And you can't put that part on him. I would say, you got to put that part a little bit on the front office and Jerry and Steven for not making the right moves. I mean, they had Clinton Dix, and the fact that he couldn't make the team coming out of week 1 and play on this defense, I think kind of probably tells you a lot about where Clinton Dix's game is. But yeah, at the same time, I agree where it's like, you still got to coach these guys up, Mike. Like, what are you doing here? But you're absolutely right about the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. Could not agree more. But yeah, when it comes down to it, the one thing that worries me a little bit, and again, this is just kind of my own kind of dumb brain working, just because of the kind of laid back approach and laissez-faire approach Ron Rivera has kind of taken with this team and saying we're in evaluation mode, just kind of whatever happens. Doesn't always necessarily seem like he's ready to score the ball when it could be scored, or call timeouts when we could reserve some time to score. Is the fact that he isn't buying into Dallas week. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. Again, there's nothing about what he said or anything else or anything that I've heard from inside the locker room or any other writers that might be the case. But just because of what we've seen so far, that's the only thing. And a lot of guys in that locker room, as poorly as he might be playing, but like Landon Collins, I know he's excited to play the Cowboys. Ryan Kerrigan, he's excited to be a part of Dallas Week. Morgan Moses, some of those guys that have been around the team for a long time and know what Dallas Week kind of stands for. I mean, it's the same thing over on the other side. The Cowboys, they get up for these Washington games too, no matter what. It's probably one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL still, even when both these teams suck, as they do this year. So that's my only worry, is that he's not fully invested and fully bought into playing the Cowboys and how much it means to the franchise, to the team, to the fans, and things like that, where he's going to be like, well, it's just another game. It's just another game. Yeah, maybe, but also it isn't, Ron.
It isn't, Ron, and if you're going to be really trying to change this culture around, I think it was Jay Gruden, I think it was the one, when they hired him, one of the first things he said, what I liked, is my first job is to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
My second job is to win the division. And so if as a Washington fan, as a Washington, lifelong fan, that's what I want to hear. That's what the fans want to hear. That's what the culture needs. So I agree with you on that. This does not feel like, even we've had worse seasons. I don't think we've had probably just as bad seasons where we still were feeling pretty excited about the Dallas Cowboy game. So hopefully they can, maybe they have some secret plan to keeping their excitement behind closed doors and not letting it get out. But I haven't heard anything on that end. But all we can hope is that Ron really understands what this could do for this team to go out there and put on a good show, and for the culture and for the self-esteem of the collective team, it would be a big W to have them go out there and put on a good performance.
1,000%. Yeah, it would be huge. Like I said, it's it's a little morale out there, and kind of like I say, get feeling good about yourself. It could be like, you always see NBA guys. You see the ball go in the bucket once, and then everything kind of starts falling in. So yeah, this could be not exactly like a turnaround where like we win this and things start heading the right direction, but kind of where we talked last week, or maybe it was Monday. We then know what direction we're actually headed, because we knew we were headed in a direction, we just didn't know which one. This might be a game where we kind of, the GPS finally starts coming through. We found some connection, and the GPS is coming through, and now we know which direction we're heading in. Whether it's good or bad, again, we will see come Sunday afternoon, but at least we will know it for a fact which direction this team is heading for this season. I'm not talking about the franchise moving forward or anything like that, just as far as this season. And kind of, short term in that case, not long term, 3 or 5 years.
Yes. And not to mention also that we're going into a bye week. So I think it's going to be a huge thing, because right after that bye week, I think we're running right into that trade deadline. And I think that, you go out there and you lose this game or you win this game, I think it kind of changes your point of view or your strategy moving towards the trade deadline. Because you're going to sit in there, we win this game, we're tied for first place. So based upon the performance of the game last night. But, if we are tied for first place, does it mean do we want to compete? Do we want to go get another piece? Or are we going to go back to what I've talked about before, start trading out some of these players and mounting some picks if we have the opportunity to? People are going to come a knocking, so it's going to be big in that regard too. It's not a make or break game, but I think it is in a sense because it's going to be telling of how we move forward. Like I said, we know we're going in a direction, but we have to know how we take the rest of the season, what we're in store for.
Yeah, we already start seeing teams making moves. Baltimore trades for Yannick Ngakoue away from Minnesota. So Minnesota all but kind of punts on the rest of this season, trading away, one of their top defensive players.
And losing their other one, Everson Griffith, the rest of the season,
Yeah,
so he's...
yeah, exactly. So, I think, they kind of played hand in hand there. So, Everson Griffith coming over to the Cowboys, but yeah.
I'm sorry. Danielle Hunter gone for the season. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I got defensive ends mixed up. He's having the back surgery. He's going to be out, 6 months. He chose to have it now. Probably once he saw that his buddies down, both bookend pass rushers are gone. So people are like, yep, now's a good time for me to go get that surgery. So
right. Start my offseason a little early, but so they traded away Yannick Ngakoue for a couple picks. There's talks of the Ravens signing Dez. There's talks of
practice squad.
The Seahawks signing Antonio Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So teams are already making moves, and Seattle's one of the teams that we mentioned that Landon Collins could probably go play while Jamal Adams is out. And so there's teams already starting to make moves and starting to make pushes for that playoff push and getting ready and positioning themselves to be successful. And so we have some pieces. I know Ryan Kerrigan's name gets brought up a lot in trade rumors, and not because he's not performing for us, but because he has a chance to be an impact player on a contender. But I couldn't see him suiting up for somebody else. As much as I didn't like seeing Brian Arakpo suit up for Tennessee, I really don't think I could see Kerrigan suiting up for somebody else other than Washington. So I want to see him. He brought it. He's brought it so far this season. He's played well. I'd like to see him be able to see this thing out. And so, trading him away would it would probably, be good for him. But just as far as, my own selfish wants as a fan, I wouldn't like that too much. But yeah, so like you said, one way or the other, we could find, whether we need to be buyers or sellers. John Ross, wide receiver from the Bengals, he's been linked to us. He's known for the 4.2 240. Really hasn't done much outside of that since he's been in the league. He's been banged up quite a bit. So there are guys that are wanting out. In David Njoku, we mentioned him on Monday, how he kind of requested a trade, then he recanted again, which that's kind of the game he plays. He does that. It's the second or third time he's done that. So yeah, there's pieces to be had if we want them.
Julio.
We're not. Well, we're not getting Julio.
But Julio is going to be traded. I'm just telling you that right now.
But not to a team like us. Like he'll get traded to New England. He'll get traded somewhere that's built to win today, and a team that's not going to have to mortgage their future because of it. And so as much as I would love that, this isn't Madden.
This doesn't matter. You're right. I would wish it was. We'd have a bomb squad. I'd help them build that together. But anyway, also, I read an article this week talking about New England and Cam Newton, how, he's in a 1-year deal, how he might be lured back to Washington. How would you feel about that? I know on the offseason when I first brought this up, or the rumors were when we talked about it, you were all against it because at that point we thought we had the guy in Haas because we were buying in. We heard all these stories. We saw the slim down. We had our team captain. So at that point we're like, nah, we don't want Cam in here screwing up that. But now we know we don't got that. So what would you think about that? Saying we can't get Trevor Lawrence, would you be open to something?
So I would be open to Cam for next year because I feel like he is now fully healthy. You know what I mean? And that was my biggest deal prior to this season. Was I just don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if his ankle's healthy. I don't know if his shoulder's healthy. I don't know what we get from him. But he might not be healthy after this year. The way they're running him, they're running him like a freaking they're running the
Terrell
Army.
Davis.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the guy's gonna end up with 200 rushes by the end of the year. But no, if he can stay healthy and he can prove that, he's already proved that he can play. It's Cam Newton, he's MVP. But yeah, I would be open to it for sure. If we can't get a young guy, I would 1,000% down to bring him in and set him up here. I know it's, again, I know I'm contradicting myself because I said when Ron Rivera came in here and he started bringing his guys from Carolina, it's like, if it didn't work in Carolina, why is it going to work here? But when it comes
Cam
to
did work with him. Cam did work with him.
Cam Newton, it did work with him. It did work with him for sure. So, you know, and Cam Newton's an upgrade to anything we have right now. So, I would be all in for that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, it sucks that we're this early in the season thinking that way, but you know, it's true though. You got to start. You never can be too late to plan. You know, like you said, I forgot what you said earlier about. But made me think about, I forgot exactly what the instance was, but it made me think about being proactive versus reactive. And I think a lot of the times that, like, I think it was when you were talking about McCarthy. I think he's being very reactive to what's been happening to him. You know, losing his quarterback instead of having things in place. You know, just as contingencies, because you know a play can change it all. And I think that you got to start being proactive and not being reactive and wait to see how our season goes, and then later to see what pick might fall to us. I think we got to kind of can visualize exactly what we want at each position and kind of start working towards those things before the season gets over.
Yeah, 1,000% agreed. Something I tell my players: failing to plan means you're planning to fail. It's easy as that.
Or my six P's. That's my album. That's got the 6 P's. Piss poor planning prevents positive performance.
Wow, that was some Michael Scott stuff right there. I like that.
And if you want us to add a partner in there, it'll be 7. 7P. Piss poor planning prevents positive performance. But it's true. You know, if you ain't got a plan, someone else has one, and you're going to have to react to theirs. So that's all it's going to be.
No, for sure. But yeah, I mean that's all I got for this week. One thing I was going to mention, we were talking about Cam Newton and Julio Jones. If the Patriots somehow ended up with Julio Jones, I would literally just run the read option with Cam and Julio Jones over and over and over again. I mean, wow, just who's going to get the ball? You don't know, but it's going to be the big dude that's running really fast right at you and then right by you. So it's like, I mean, take your pick. Who are you going to tackle?
It was like the Wildcat when they had Derrick Henry back there. What they call it? They called it. I think Nate Burleson called it the saber tooth. He's like, not the Wild. That's the saber tooth. Because he's like, you ain't gonna stop that guy or somebody else big next to him. So it's that's funny. But yeah, let's see. It's Cowboy Week, man. You know, let's not let this all all the negativity of everything let us as Washington fans. Steer us away from our purpose, which is beat the hell out of those goddamn Cowboys.
I know that's right.
I know that's right.
So coming into so as we sit here today, right now, so the line opened up at Cowboys -2. I actually looked earlier, so it opened up at -2 earlier this week. Yesterday it was a pick'em, so there was no spread. Earlier today it was Washington -1, and as I'm looking at it right now, it's now Washington +1. So the money's going back and forth between both teams. They're adjusting the line on the fly. Again, so as I stand right now, it's Washington +1. I'm obviously going to take that 1 point. I'm obviously going to say we're going to win outright. Yet again, the total is 46. I think we are under that total for the game.
I think it'd be about 42-3. So I think you're right. So.
I like the way you think, baby. Let's go. I like it. Yeah. But so yeah, that's where I stand this week on those picks. But yeah, I mean, it's Cowboys week, like you said. We got to beat Dallas and find out what direction we're moving in, whether that's back, whether it's forward, whatever it is. We got to figure it out. We got to put one on them here because this is a good opportunity for us to do so.
Yes, it is. And before we go out of here and talk about putting one on them, I just want everyone to know I put one on this guy here on fantasy this last week. So what do we got to say about that there, partner? I thought you had my number.
Nobody cares about your fantasy team, Joe. Nobody but you cares about your fantasy team.
What are you talking about? You're the one that brought it up first. Like, our fantasy record, I think I get the best of you. I'm like, man, we're in 3 leagues.
One game doesn't change that. I still think overall record, I'm probably like 10-2 against you.
Let's talk about the overall records of the 3 leagues we're in together and see. I had to.
I set myself up. I threw the alley-oop and let you just dunk it right on my face. So that's fine. That's fine. It's totally warranted. It is.
All right, but anyway, I would trade all those fantasy victories for a Washington victory this week.
Oh, absolutely. Too bad not a lot of those fantasy victories come against me, but I know what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
But as always, if you're listening on Apple iTunes, like, rate, subscribe, review, unsubscribe, then resubscribe, maybe unsubscribe, then resubscribe one more time. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you're watching us here on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscription button, ring that notification bell. As always, again, share, tell your friends. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at AlliesBEL. Hit us up there. You're not commenting on our YouTube video, so shoot us something out on Twitter and shoot us out something on Facebook, and give us some talking material, things like that. But until Monday, hopefully we're celebrating Victory Monday, and hopefully the air is the sweetest it's ever been. Colors are the most vibrant they've ever been. Those birds are singing the most beautiful song we've ever heard. But until then. Until then, if you want to play the bugle on the way out, Joe, we'll go ahead and sign off from here.
That should be our customary sign off there.
Until Monday, y'all take care.
Bye-bye.